Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Looking for Love in All the Wrong Dust Jackets, a show where three disgruntled harpies talk to you about everything we love in romance, whether that's books, movies, TV shows, whatever we like. My name's Liz.
I'm Danny.
I'm Wiggles.
And welcome to the episode.
Very musical wigs. I like it.
Yeah, I liked it.
I thought it was appropriate for the movie.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, this episode, we are discussing the movie Falling for Figaro. But before we get into that, before we get a going, I got to let the people know that we are crass and unhinged. We're terribly unladylike. We're going to talk about all of the naughty times using all them 4-letter words.
There aren't many in this movie.
Yeah, this is actually a safe one. But you have been warned, and I am no longer responsible, which is what I'm here for. Passing off responsibility.
Absolutely. And just because there is no naughty times really to speak of does not mean we're not going to use all the 4-letter words. That's just part of my vocabulary.
This is true.
All right. Wiggles, do you want to tell us some fun facts about Falling for Figaro?
I have facts.
Are they fun?
Up for debate.
Depends on your definition.
Fun is subjective.
Yes. So these are on IMDb's trivia. The actress who played Millie told interviewers that Joanne Lumley, who plays the opera coach, never needed a second take. One take hero. Most of the singing in the movie was dubbed over, which shouldn't be a surprise. Apparently, the only live recorded voice in the film was Andrew J. Carter's as Fergus Mackenzie, as his role required him to crack, which would not be overdubbed.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can see that.
Wait, when did he sing?
So in the competition, there's the guy whose voice cracked in the middle of his piece.
Oh,
Him.
I see. Yes.
He's the only one who was actually singing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then the last one they have on there, apparently I lied. That's not the last one. Another one they have on there is, despite not doing the actual singing in the film, the stars needed a lot of training and they had to learn songs and take voice lessons so that they could dub effectively.
Yeah.
McDonald, who plays Millie, spoke of how terrifying it was for her to simply sing badly and not worry about how she sounded. Joanne Lumley, who again plays the opera coach, is married to classical conductor Stephen Barlow, who is credited as an opera consult on this film. This is boring. Daniel McDonald, who played Millie, previously played an aspiring musician in Patty Cakes with a $, in which she played an amateur rapper. So,
Okay.
Okay. Fun, debatable. Facts, yes.
True.
Yeah. Danny, what's this movie about?
So this movie is about a very accomplished young woman. She is very well versed in her field, a field that I still am not clear on what it is.
She's a hedge manager or so she works in mutual funds and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough.
I'm pulling that out of my ass. It's potentially correct. I just know it's finance related.
It's finance related. She's very successful. She's about to be she was offered a promotion. They are singing her fucking praises. And she's like, nah, son, I want to be an opera singer.
Mm-hmm.
So she's given herself a year to explore the possibility of becoming an opera singer, really from scratch. And she goes to a very small town to train with this opera coach who is kind of sadistic, and I love her. She has many moments. And she is working up so that she can be in this competition. And there's a guy that is also being trained by this opera singer who is also training to be in this competition. It's his last chance to kind of get in and win this competition.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's living there for an entire year in this bumfuck nowhere small town. And they catch the feels even though she has a boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
So we can discuss. I do want to say, so the opera coach
is absolutely fabulous.
She's absolutely fabulous. However, the first moment I saw her, I went, it's Aunt Spiker. James and the Giant Peach.
Yeah.
See, I had a different reaction to a different actor. So the guy who plays Max is in Harlots. And so I could not like him in this entire movie.
I didn't, thankfully, I didn't register that until you just said that, but you are 1,000% right.
So every time I saw him on the screen, I was like, it's not your fault, but I do hate you.
He is a little twat in that show.
Yeah.
Well, she's a twat in James and the Giant Peach, so.
She's also awesome and absolutely fabulous.
I haven't seen that.
Okay, well, then my joke didn't make any sense.
I'm sorry. I mean, don't get me wrong. She's amazing in James and the Giant Peach. To have the ability to make you hate her that much, you're like...
I haven't seen James and the Giant Peach since I was like in 6th grade. So
such a good movie.
I'm just agreeing with you. Yes, Danny, you are correct.
And Aunt Sponge was played by the lady who plays Professor Sprout in Harry Potter.
Miriam
Okay.
Margulies.
Mm-hmm. She's in a lot of things, but...
Don't ask me how I know that. I don't know how I know the things that I know. I just know I'm right.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
Anyway.
Yeah, this here movie.
Yeah. So let's maybe start with her life pre-operatic middle-age breakdown.
So she is dating her boss,
Mm-hmm.
and
they appear to live together.
that's the vibe I'm getting as well. And he praises her all the time, saying like she's a genius.
Yeah.
She's up for this promotion, or she actually gets it,
Yeah.
which would, I think, put her above him
Mhm.
Yeah.
in the company.
And he's still like, no, I think it's sexy.
Yeah.
This man does nothing wrong. He does nothing wrong.
But here's the thing that I actually really liked about this whole situation. Yeah, she ends up like breaking up with him eventually, but not on screen.
Yeah.
And it's because the impression you get, it's because he's not unsupportive of the opera situation, but he doesn't get it.
Well, okay.
And
so
I understand why he doesn't get it.
I want to really dive into that, because here's the thing. Charlie, the boyfriend,
Yes.
I completely understand why at first he's like, what the fuck are you, like, what,
Yeah.
what are you doing? Because,
He goes with it though, which is the important thing.
and honestly, I think that she treats him, Millie treats Charlie like shit throughout this entire movie.
She does.
And not even the like cheating on him with Max
Mhm.
part. Even in the beginning, they are partners, they are living together, and she out of the blue goes, no, I'm quitting my job and moving to Scotland, or like at that point she didn't know she was moving, and I'm going to pursue being an opera singer. And like usually I am very annoyed with stories that do that, because it's like, okay, you're really missing the valuable, important piece of life, where quitting your job is not usually really an option for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
But if she's a hedge fund manager, she probably has a fuck ton of money. So that's fine. But to do that to your significant other who you are living with and not having any discussion about it at all.
Oh, yeah,
Literally
before
just
time.
drops a bomb.
Yeah. In the
And
middle of
says,
a meeting too.
Go with
Yeah.
it. Yeah. That he still works there at the end of the day and has to answer the questions of like, the fuck is going on with your girlfriend, man?
Right.
Mhm.
And also puts him in a really shitty position as her boss.
Yes.
So it's like the fact, like, I also had a really hard time liking Millie because of how she treated him.
Mhm.
And then when he would start asking her questions about it, she was just like, this is happening. Either get on board or get out.
Yes.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
hold up, lady.
Well, in some ways, there were moments where I was like, "Oh yeah, you go, girl. You take control of the situation." Yada yada. Like, there's one point where he's like, I don't even remember what he was saying, but she was not feeling it, right? And so she grabs him by the tie and is like, "You're going to congratulate me, and you're going to toast to me, or you can fuck off." And like,
I had that moment too where I was like, hell yeah, girl. But at the same time, I'm like, but he has the right to ask these questions.
yes,
Well, because that's the other thing is he was never asking questions like, what the fuck are you doing? Are you crazy? Are you sane? It was more just like, are you okay? Do you need to go see like your therapist? Which of course would be a valid question of like,
Yeah.
are you having a mental breakdown?
yes.
And then she goes, oh, I don't actually have a therapist. I just lied to seem more like complex. And I'm like,
That's wild.
bitch, what the fuck?
Can you, like, again, this is one of those where you need to like reverse the roles. Can you imagine if a man said that to you? I
Yeah.
just wanted you to think that I was emotionally available, so I said I went to a therapist. What?
Yeah, she treats him like garbage throughout the entire movie. And like, he's never not supportive, but like, she drops this bomb on him
Yes.
and he's like, oh, okay, but like, he's asking the right questions. He's not
Yeah.
like berating her about this, even though at that point he maybe has a reason to.
Yeah.
And, you know, but come on, man. I did appreciate that they did not even try to paint him as the villain in this story.
How could you? He did nothing wrong. And like, if he was weak in his support for her, probably a lot of that has to do with she just decided unilaterally to up and leave him for a year.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. What?
And then down the road, after she has her like first performance, and he's in the office raving to like the rest of the folks in the office, like reading the reviews, like being super supportive of her. And then when he comes to visit her and he apologizes for not being more supportive. And I'm like, dude, you're a hell of a lot more supportive than I think a lot of people would be in this situation.
Correct.
Right?
I couldn't not like him. He was adorable.
Yeah. He was very sweet. He didn't like opera, obviously. That wasn't his thing, but he still came to support her. Did he fall asleep in the opera at the beginning? Yes. But we don't know what the full circumstances were of that. Like, did he have a hard week and like went with her to the opera anyway? Or was it just he's told her multiple times he's not really into it, but he'll go with her? You know what I mean?
Well, and here's the thing. To a certain degree, you can absolutely love something. And like, for instance, senior year of high school, we went to Boston with concert choir, and I did not leave until midway through the school day. So I had to go to school in the morning, and then midway through the day, had to get on a plane and fly to Boston. And then that night, we went to the Boston Symphony. I was hard pressed to stay awake during that.
Yeah.
And I love classical music. I also played a string instrument, so that I really appreciate orchestra music and everything too. And I was having a hard time staying awake. There's times where it's not your fault, man.
Well, there are also times when, just being blunt and honest here, like me and Pap have gone to see the symphony in town a couple of times, and I pretty much always fall asleep at some point because that music's very soothing.
It is.
It is.
If properly played correctly. If not, it is a horror show.
Well, yes.
Well, and the other thing is, like, yes, he fell asleep, but he was so sweet about it. Like, she, like, bumped her shoulder to, like, get him to wake up, and he just, like, snuggled back in.
I know. I was like, oh, he's
no,
cute.
This is where I want to be. You're wrong.
The only thing I didn't understand is, and we're going to skip towards the end here, when Millie doesn't win the big competition, which I am very glad that was the writing choice that they made. And then she makes the decision, instead of being like, I tried it for a year and I'm done, to continue working on it, which fair. You made it pretty far for somebody who only been doing this for a year. And apparently Charlie at one point rolls his eyes and she's like, are you rolling your eyes at me? I'm like, that's a weird writing choice. Nothing about this man up to this point would lead me to think that that's something he would do.
Yeah.
Well, and even if we have to accept that that's what he does in the script, right? So understanding that, yeah. But if that's the worst reaction you get from him when you up and left him for a year, barely communicated with him from what we can tell, made him just deal with whatever fucking whims you're dealing with. And I'm sorry, girl, he might not know, but you know that you basically cheated on him. And all he does is roll his eyes, that he's going to have to continue to put up with whatever next big thing you think you're going to do in order to make this dream happen. I think that's pretty forgivable.
Yeah.
I will say, so when you find out that she broke up with him, it has been 3 years.
Yeah, we don't know when she broke up with him.
So we don't know, and we don't know that she's the one who broke up with him.
Also true.
Yeah.
She kind of implies it, but that's kind of a unreliable narrator at that point, because everybody tries to paint it as your own idea when you break up.
Yeah.
Maybe he got tired of the yo-yoing situation that is their relationship and left.
Well, and the other thing too is, I mean, these two people are very well off financially, we can assume, based on their jobs. But when you're in a shared living space like that, you're sharing a lot of financial responsibility. And for her to just be like, nah, bitch, I'm out. Like, that's a terrible thing to do to somebody else. And maybe she is still paying her half of everything, even while she's not there. But that's terrible.
And given that she is she was like a financial manager, I'm sure she has her own shit that's invested and everything.
Yeah.
And that could be what she's using towards this, but we don't really know. But they do have kind of a swanky London apartment.
They do.
Yeah. And isn't
Yeah.
London extremely expensive to live in?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would assume so.
And she's got a lot of fashion.
Yeah.
Like, not just like, oh, I have a lot of clothes. No, she has a lot of fashion items.
Mm-hmm.
So her luggage isn't cheap.
No.
I think also like having a car is rarer out there.
Yeah, if you're living in London.
Yeah. And they have one.
Most of the time, I think people use the tube in London.
Mm.
It's like living in New York. Why do you need a car?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we've been shitting on Millie for a minute.
I'm not probably done, I won't lie, but we can take a break.
There are things I like about Millie, too, but I did not appreciate how she treated him at all.
No. It is refreshing. I don't know if that's the right word to see a situation or a movie script that is honestly pretty Hallmark-esque in its like high level pitch, and to not have it, oh, the ex is a piece of shit and was holding her back and blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
Also, not to have the main character be perfect.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is a thing that I really enjoyed about the movie is she went to audition to be this person, you know, to be trained by this person. And I'm thinking, okay, she's going to sing, and the typical movie thing, it's going to be gorgeous, but considered a little rough around the edges. And it was not gorgeous.
No.
It was not good at all.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, all right, I'll do this. Mainly because she wanted the money. But it also goes to show, so being somebody who did do vocal situation, that yes, there is a fair amount of talent that needs to be in existence. But there's also a lot of damn work involved in growing your voice and protecting your voice and building your lungs and everything.
Well, an opera specifically is very difficult.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I worked with a gal who had actually got her MFA in, I don't want to say opera, I'm sure there's an actual better term, but she was studying to be an opera singer and then got out into the world and was like, this is a hard world to live in.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It's much like ballet in that way.
Yeah.
It's not as physically demanding as ballet, but it is still physically demanding. There's a lot of work you have to go into protecting your voice by warming it up properly and everything.
Well, and also it's similar to theater, which we all have an experience with. Sometimes the person that gets a role isn't, the reasoning that they get it might be like at the end of the movie because the guy who's doing the casting.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. The other thing I thought was interesting about the opera side of it is that they really didn't give us much understanding of opera. Like there was an expectation you're coming to the table with at least enough understanding to know why the things that they are doing matter.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't explain like textual understanding or why certain songs are more difficult than others. And I was like, oh, you would have thought that would pop up a bit more.
Yeah, I wonder because we all have like adjacent experiences, right? Like studying a lot of voice and choir and then being theater people, musical theater, all of that. So like there's a lot of things about opera I don't know and understand, but I can certainly like appreciate it with that. But if you didn't have our background, I wonder how you would have enjoyed this movie.
That I wondered that myself because I like opera. I don't listen to a lot of operas or anything, but I have a working knowledge of it to a degree. And
Sure.
so there were definitely moments where I'm like, oh, that's Carmen.
Yeah.
Oh, that's this, and everything. I did laugh when she pulled out Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star because I was like, oh, yeah, he did write that, didn't he?
I thought when she did start to have the conversation of the differences between Max and Millie and why she got more praise at the qualifying competition than he did, with him being very technically excellent but expressively weak, that they were going to get into that more.
Yeah.
And instead she was like, look at her face. She's got a better face than you. And you're like, that's it? I think there's a little bit more to it. There's a little more nuance you could get into here.
Yes, and spoiler alert, when Max does win the competition, it's because she's just ripped his fucking heart out.
Which he,
That's
quite honestly.
When he pulled that out, I was like, oh, that's too much, sir.
Well, let's back up and talk about the relationship leading up to that, because when it gets to that point, I was literally screaming at the TV, why and what for?
I had honestly thought, like, did I somehow, is this another one of those times where I was watching a movie and I missed something really vital?
Yeah.
Because the rest of the script that they didn't give us.
I was also very confused. All of a sudden, like, I was like, oh, and she's on top of him.
Yeah.
So when we meet Max, he has been training with, what's the coach's name?
Megan.
He's been training with Megan for a while.
5
years.
There you go. You guys got it. and so like the whole town is rooting for this guy when Millie shows up. And here's the thing. I understand that opera is cutthroat, but like the way he throws a temper tantrum like a fucking child because she's considering taking on Millie because she still has to pay her fucking bills.
Well,
not attractive.
No.
Not cute.
Not cute at all. And I think the only reason she initially lets her because she wasn't going to let her pass the audition. She was just going to get paid for that one time and be done, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But he purposely ruins her audition by fucking with the pipes. And I think that's why Megan was like, you know what, good sir?
Maybe you need
kindly
a little...
go fuck yourself. And maybe you need some competition.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's like, fine, yes. I do love how the town kind of reacts to her, though.
Well, it's like any small town. It's at first confusion and a little apprehension.
Mm-hmm.
And then, this bitch got money? Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
An object of curiosity.
Yes.
I love at one point the bartender's like, well, you're currently the local economy.
Yes, yeah. I love that line.
He was just fantastic.
He was a great side character. I am really trying to piece together what his relationship with Megan is. Were they together at some point?
I think so, because she said something about maybe she just I think she hasn't gotten laid in like 20 years, and then he pops in and goes 8, and I went...
I was like, either you're the town gossip, or
which he is.
You were there 8 years ago.
I think it was both.
But also, like, Ramsey, the bartender, I couldn't tell if he just like is really appreciative of opera, if he, you know, is like a fan of it, and just because Megan's there and the whole town has been supporting Max, they all kind of understand it, or if he has a history himself with opera.
I don't know. I wanted more from both him and Megan's relationship, and with knowledge. I could watch a whole movie about Ramsey and Megan.
Right.
And just the town.
Yeah.
That was more interesting, honestly, than some of the stuff that was happening between Max and Millie.
Yeah.
It was cute.
I was also confused by Max and Megan's relationship.
Mm-hmm.
For the longest time, up until Millie asked or talked about it, I was half thinking that Megan was Max's like mother or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then it's just, oh no, I was an orphan in a convent. And you're like,
yeah.
Okay, well, could you elaborate on that a little? And they're like, no, moving on. That chapter is done. Okay. For it being supposedly a story about Millie and Max, they give us so little about their characters.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But yeah, Max is a problem at the beginning. I guess they were trying to do this like enemies to lovers thing, but all he was being an annoying little twat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which didn't help, considering that's how his character is in Harlots.
Yeah, right? Like, now that you said it, I was like, that explains why I had such a visceral reaction to this guy. Where I was like,
yeah,
how are you going to get me to believe that she falls for him? Because right now,
I was also, God, when he was bringing her baggage upstairs and he was just like scraping her very expensive bag.
Yes.
All the way up the stairs. I was like, sir, I don't own expensive luggage, but even I would be like, what the fuck, bro?
Okay, my luggage cost me a grand total of $30. It was on clearance, and I had a coupon. And if you did that to my $30 luggage, I'd be like, you son of a bitch.
Right?
Right?
It's not even enemies to lovers. It's petulant child to maybe, I guess you're kind of an adult. I'll maybe find you attractive. Like that's the plot that they have with him.
I have no attraction to him whatsoever.
No, none.
No.
I mean, he can cook.
Apparently, he's a very good cook.
Yes. Unfortunately, my biggest to him is when he's singing, not the voice. The voice is stunning.
It's not his voice anyway.
It's not his voice anyway. But you're meant to believe that that is his voice.
Yes.
But watching him sing, it's a little like watching Pierce Brosnan sing in
Yes, you
Mamma
were right,
Mia.
Mamma Mia.
Because here's the thing about when Pierce Brosnan sung in Mamma Mia. It's not that it sounded bad. He looks fucking weird as shit doing it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, and I guess there's a question to be made, I guess, that is he supposed to look stupid when he sings? Because that's his weakness.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It's better at the end, you know? So it's
still
sort of
not
like,
great.
no, he's all red-eyed and like his
He also
eyes are
gets a-
too open, you know, where you're like, this man could snap at any point
He
and
gets
kill
a vein
everybody.
that like sticks out on his forehead
Yeah.
too.
I think you got it there for me. It's his fucking eyes. They're serial killer eyes, man.
They are. He has the lowest emotional intelligence I've seen in a male main character in a long ass fucking time. Like I at one point I was like, oh, is his character supposed to be somebody who struggles with like cues?
I also had a moment of wondering if he was on his character was supposed to be on the spectrum.
Yeah. No follow up on that if that's the case.
Yeah.
So
nothing
I don't
here.
know if it's just him acting weirdly as an actor or if it's him reacting weirdly in the situation as a character.
Yeah.
Who's to say? Here's the other thing about Max. He is working for the Megan, the opera coach, and is also the cook at the pub.
Yep.
And
Wait.
kind of the handyman.
Yep.
Yes. And also kind of must live there.
It was unclear where he lives. He isn't in a guest room.
Right.
But
It's almost like he lives in Megan's barn.
that's what it looks like because
Right.
there's the accoutrement on the wall are like tools and like hand tools
Yeah.
and stuff. So
And
yeah,
his headboard is a pallet,
yeah.
which I mean is a motif, so I'm not criticizing anybody's like palette use for
But this wasn't like a decorative choice. This was like this is my option.
yeah.
I will say this. If your last resort to getting a headboard is a pallet, I think it proves the rule. If he wanted to, he would. He had nothing else, and he said, I want a goddamn headboard.
True.
There's no excuse, boys. Get a goddamn headboard.
I'll be honest with you. I don't have a headboard, but
Yes.
I don't really like the only point in getting a headboard is so that my pillow doesn't fall in between my bed and the wall. What's the other
Which is
point?
precisely why I have a headboard.
And it looks nice.
Okay.
We both have actually very similar decorative beds.
But who is looking at it, right? It looks nice to me and my husband. And
it's nesting. It's making your nest nice.
well, and I have nothing against if you are doing something only for yourself and only for yourself to feel good, but you know, it ain't something that matters to me.
It was for me.
Now, to get a headboard for things to hold on to, that I can get behind.
Oh, I can hold on to that headboard.
See.
See, and
Like he said that like, oh, it's gotcha.
So, yeah, Max is a confusing character.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about Max and now Millie together, I finished this movie and then there's like a couple distinct points where the relationship jumps significantly.
Yes.
Mhm.
And I literally went back to those moments and then like scrubbed backwards a little bit in the video to be like, how did we get here? And it was unclear.
It's
No.
very unclear.
It made no fucking sense. We just went immediately from like, okay, I've decided I'm not going to hate you as much. Here are some books. And you're like, where did that come from? Because you were one step away from spitting in her food a minute ago.
Yeah.
Okay. And then it just, the hard right into we're kind of friends was even more jarring because it was like, but why? There's no reason for you to be friends. You haven't done anything to make up for it. You gave her some books and told her to gargle salt water, which she should already fucking know. But whatever.
I think the books and the salt water, I maybe understand where that came from suddenly. And I think that's because she asked advice.
Mm-hmm.
She talked about, you know, the books were about breathing, properly
Yes.
and everything. And she was asking if he breathes through his nose or through his mouth while he's singing. And I think it's a moment where he appreciated that she cares about the knowledge and that she wanted to know how he did it because she recognizes his talent.
Mhm.
And so I think that's where at least the like saltwater and the books came from, is it's like, okay, she's a bit of a spoiled bitch,
Mm-hmm.
but she is trying and working hard to try. And so here's assistance. The jump to friendship, I have no fucking clue.
I think the reason the assistance though even like throws me is because she wasn't there, like she was trying before he decided that was a good enough reason not to hate her, because he hated her just because she was auditioning for Megan.
Yeah.
So it's like, where's the line that connects those 2 points? I don't
know. And then the jump that is still very confusing in my mind is he likes her now.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, but why though?
Yeah.
You've had no like cute little hand brushing moments or, like little things that kind of could flip his brain to this. He likes her now.
Right?
Nothing.
No. And
No.
then even weirder when she likes him back, because she's got a very supportive and understanding and generous boyfriend.
Yes.
Yep.
And she has not gotten anything from him that would indicate that, hey, he has changed and is no longer going to pout like a child. So
Right.
why do you suddenly like this man? Maybe it's just the proximity effect.
It may be. And I mean, Megan pulls a shit where she's like, go away for the week.
And she'll miss you.
And she'll miss you. And I'm like, Megan, what bullshit are you trying to pull right now?
Right?
I almost
why does
think-
it work?
I don't know why it works, but I think she also was kind of scheming to get Max's heart broken
Yes.
because he needed a dose of,
Oh yeah.
I think Megan kind of knew what she was doing all along, and that this is some bullshit he needs emotion and this is going to hurt him. And she knew it. But ow, man. I don't think she thought he would go as far as he fucking did.
Yeah, that jump was the one that I was like, Jesus Christ. But let's back up one more.
Yeah.
Because
Yep.
it jumps real quick from that to he's back. And he made her a lovely breakfast with some champagne.
Mm-hmm. Which,
And-
naughty, they're not supposed to drink.
They aren't supposed to drink. And he then goes, I know what I'll do. I'll be flirty, and this is going to seal the deal. And it does. Why?
He's not even good flirty, but all of a sudden they're in bed, and I was like, what the fuck?
Right?
That was where I thought I
Yeah.
maybe missed something, because I watched it last night.
Mm-hmm.
We all know that I was distracted
Mm-hmm.
last night, but I was like, okay, gotta watch this movie. It is what it is. But I was just like, what the fuck? What? Like, I backed it up a minute to be like, did I?
Exactly.
No.
And then there's this scene by the water where she's like, or maybe it's by a farm. I don't know. That's not the point. There was an expanse of a color in the distance. Could have been blue, could have been green.
Yep.
I love you, Liz.
What else was happening, Liz?
She's just sitting on the bench contemplating her cheating on Charlie. Well, who knows what she's contemplating? And Max comes up and is like, it's okay that we didn't have sex. And I'm like, okay.
Of course it is.
Sure.
Thanks, bud.
Thanks for the permission not to get down with you.
Yeah.
Well, and then she's just like, I don't know what's going on with me right now. I don't know what's going on in my head, but I do know I came here for a competition. So you can't look at me anymore.
Right.
And it's like, that's your biggest takeaway of this being a problem? Not the fact that, he's not your boyfriend and you do have one of those
And he's wonderful.
waiting at home for you.
Being wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I will to the death that Charlie is a wonderful person and I want him. I don't, because he's far too clingy for me. But,
Except he's not. He let her go off for a year.
Yeah.
And he
It's
only
true.
visited her one time.
Yes.
it's true. But the,
He's-
snuggling on the shoulder.
He's just physically affectionate, Danny. That's not clingy.
Danny doesn't like physical affection.
Anyway.
People
Well-
breathe on you that way.
And Charlie.
People do have to breathe. Yes.
How dare they? That's why
Anyways,
do they go to their side of the bed where they belong?
Wiggles Charlie to it.
What about Charlie? Oh yeah. So Charlie tries to like sneak in and visit, but I don't even know that he was really sneaking because I don't know that she ever told him you can't come down here.
It didn't seem like he knew that. It seemed
No.
like he just decided he was going to actually go visit her.
Yes.
Well, and here's the thing. I feel like if she'd been really concerned about it, that town is full of fucking gossips.
Yeah.
It's gonna get back to Megan.
Yeah.
So
Well,
she
the
should
thing
have
about
either
it-
told him or not,
It kind of seems like Millie really enjoyed forgetting about Charlie while she was there.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, and the way she looks at Max, like she should be apologizing to him. I'm like, ma'am, you are sort of a bitch.
Well, that's classic cheater behavior, though.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I need to apologize to the one that I'm cheating with. What?
Yeah.
Wild.
But then their relationship takes another big step at the
Yes.
final competition.
After they haven't talked for months.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, she's like, we can't. Which, that I think is actually the better decision for her. She's already proven that she can't be trusted around Max. And if she wants to continue her relationship with Charlie, she needs to just not speak with him. That's the only mature situation that they kind of did where she's like, nah. She didn't explain it well. She should have.
Well, because what she said to Max is, I can't deal with this until the competition is over.
Mm-hmm.
So then Max took that as literally as soon as she is done singing her goddamn song, he proposes to her backstage.
Yes.
With a box that lights up.
It's wild.
It makes the ring look real pretty, but I was just like, oh, dear God.
And that's again where I was like, did I miss something in this movie?
Right.
Because how the fuck did we get here?
Well,
I just don't think he understands social cues at all.
No.
her
she
reaction
runs.
is the only right reaction in that moment of, no, what? No, I still have a boyfriend. He's out in the audience watching me. What the fuck? You cannot be proposing in this moment. This can't be real.
She runs away and then she like runs into one of the backstage people and she's like, sorry, I've got to pee. And like,
Uh-huh.
she said something. What did she say? She said she had to pee. And then she hides in the bathroom. I probably would have done the same thing. I'm not going to lie.
Well, what do you say to somebody you haven't spoken to other than just like cordial hellos or whatever for months?
I don't even think they've done that. They pretty much avoid eye contact.
Yeah.
Right?
And then
Right.
Megan is kind of a bitch because she comes into the bathroom and Millie's like, just tell him I'm in the bathroom and I'm not feeling well and go let him sing because he still has to sing his fucking song.
Uh-huh.
Right.
And Megan's like, I'm not going to lie to him. So you need to decide what to do and then tell him. And I'm like, y'all are manipulative as
Yes.
fuck.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
She is just weaving that like a spider.
Yeah.
She got what she wanted out of it because I think she wanted Max's heart broken so that he would emote on stage.
Which, I mean, that is what happens. So,
Although, and admittedly, I don't know opera that well, and I don't know the story of Figaro that well, but like, he's not heartbroken in
No,
that
he's
song.
supposed
No.
to be happy.
Right? So it's like, what? It would make more sense. It would make more sense if they had picked a song where the heartbreak is supposed to come through and the emotion is supposed to be there, but it doesn't make sense in this song.
But the title wouldn't be snappy.
I guess it doesn't make sense, and that's what my takeaway for this whole movie was. It doesn't make sense.
well, and I know so little about opera, but isn't that the song he sang supposed to be like technically difficult?
It is.
It's
difficult.
extremely
Right.
difficult.
So, like, I can understand
It's like
that being a really great, grand song to have at the end of the movie. But like you said, the emotion does not match.
It's like if you put rap in a operatic tone that had high and low notes of great variety.
Right.
It's very fast.
Yes. It should not have contributed to him having success to have a heartbreak before that song. It
Yeah.
doesn't doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. And this is my song about it not making sense.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. And then they get like a cute little epilogue where 3 years later, he's I don't know.
Performing.
Well, he's performing, but he's also casting. So I don't know what his role is.
So I think the casting director was the one that was speaking to him. And the person that is the other person in the opera, his like counterpart in the opera is sick or something has occurred. And they have 2 options to fill in. She says this person is, you know, very renowned, very seasoned and everything, but she's kind of a cow, which I love that. And then this other person, she's still cutting her teeth, but I've heard good things. Which one do you think we should go with? And I think that was just her asking his opinion because he's going to be the one playing opposite of this person.
Except when Millie comes in to do her audition, he's the only one in the audience. So I don't know. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Yeah. So she gets to play his paramour on stage.
Yeah.
And that's the end.
That is the end.
I suppose we can kind of assume that they go out or they're kind of together after that, but we don't know.
We don't know.
We
Who's
don't
to
know.
say?
They sing a romantic duet on stage.
Yeah.
But realistically, that's acting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that flat feeling of why did I bother is where we leave you, because that's where we were left.
Yeah.
So that's the relationship. But I mean, that's not the point of the movie. The point of the movie is Millie's operatic journey. At least I think. I don't know what the point of the movie is.
No, I'm confused. I did like the operatic journey. Like I said before, I appreciated that she was not good to start out with. And it shows the amount of work it takes to do that. I don't think it's possible in a year.
No, to do it in a year, to be the point where you are one of only, I think, 15 people who make it to this singer of renowned competition. Now, of course, the thing with all of those types of competitions is they don't necessarily always draw the best people. They draw like the best people who are available to do the competition. But if you are already like you have a seasoned role or something that you're doing, you're not stopping that to go to this competition. You're like, I'm already playing this.
I got this.
Yeah.
But the point of the competition for Millie is to get her name out there, to get started because she wants to be an opera singer. My question is, so you want to be an opera singer, you can't sing.
Well, she can sing,
but she can't sing operatically.
She's no backup in terms of technique.
No.
And not just like opera, but like technique and singing at all. She doesn't know to sing from her diaphragm. She doesn't know how to keep her vocal cords moist. She doesn't know where she's supposed to take a breath in the song or how to pace out a note.
Which is something I find so unrealistic. And maybe this is just because I'm like a type A person and I love to do my research. But if I was really into something like potentially becoming an opera singer and I knew that I was going to eventually, have to go study with a vocal coach and stuff, I wouldn't go from not doing any personal research, personal growth, even you're in London, finding a vocal coach that you can see, once or twice a week after work in London.
Yeah.
To I'm quitting everything and then running away to Scotland.
Yeah.
Like it seems such like a weird jump.
It is. It's an extremely weird jump. And there are vocal coaches, not necessarily that would teach you to sing operatically, but to give you the foundations for singing before you would get to an operatic vocal coach.
Exactly.
Which is what she needed.
Well, the thing is, if you're coming at it from the standpoint, which it seems like she is, of I've sung in the shower, but I've never actually sung with a collective effort, right? You're missing out on years of training that comes without ever having the intention of you becoming a professional singer.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right? Like kids start practicing this in elementary school of when you're supposed to take a breath. When are you supposed to, how to balance yourself against others who are singing with you, right?
And that's the biggest obstacle is when you're singing with somebody, you have to be able to match. That was one of the things I had the hardest thing because I'm such a quiet singer.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to be able to match along with the people that you're singing with. So if you're singing with a quartet, one of you shouldn't be more prominent than the others.
Right.
You know, we don't know Millie's background. So maybe she did sing all throughout, up through high school. She's American, so it would have been high school. But there is the person that gives her the information to go to Megan at the beginning. Who the fuck was that lady and how did she know her?
No.
Well, the only thing I could think is that she was connected to her through her fundraising. So maybe she'd done fundraising for their organization or something like that.
Okay.
Maybe she has like season tickets too or something. If she's very into opera, she's constantly listening to it and everything.
She probably does have season tickets. So yeah, maybe she just knows her through giving a lot of money to the
She might
to
even
theater.
be a board member or something.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I always struggle with these like movies where I'm going to give up everything to pursue my dream. And I guess she has the out of being wealthy.
Yeah.
But like you said, it's just, while she was doing this, I was like, there's a part of me that doesn't want her to be successful.
Right.
And because there are people who have dedicated their lives to getting to this point. And then that vein, I understand Max's irritation that somebody who has never even tried before thinks that they get to have the same training as somebody who's been working towards this forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I think that this shows a little bit of our age because I feel like this is a movie I would have absolutely adored in my early 20s.
Sure.
I agree with that.
But in my, oh God, this is going to hurt me. In my late 30s, I find it incredibly disrespectful to the craft that she thinks that she can just, boom, I'm going to be an opera singer. And it's like, I'm not telling you that you can't pursue your dreams, but it's really arrogant to just decide that you're going to do this thing that is incredibly technical.
Mm-hmm.
And you need a shit ton of talent to do. Like, I sang my entire life. I can't sing opera.
Mm-mm.
Well, and I think that's why this story, I would have bought into it a lot more if there was like even just a scene at the beginning where she was participating in like a community choir or something.
A normal choir.
Or going to a different vocal coach, like we talked about, that's doing not operatic singing. Then I could have really bought into her being like, it's time for me to take the next step. It's time for me to do like the big move.
Agreed. It's the arrogance for me.
Yeah. Well, and also you can't learn how to do something like, maybe you can. Maybe there are people who can learn how to do something like that in a year, and she is fully dedicated to it. So it is a year of dedicated to only that thing.
Mm-hmm.
Every single day.
But that's why I'm really glad she didn't win at the end.
Yes.
Because if she would have won, I would have been like, okay, well,
Mm-hmm.
I was sitting there hoping she wouldn't.
yeah.
Well, I like that not only did she not win, she also didn't get the second place prize.
Yeah.
I actually liked that too.
Yeah.
Because they announced at the end that since there's so many great people this year, we're actually going to do a second place prize, and she doesn't win that either.
Which when they announced that, I was like, oh, so now Max
gets first, Millie gets second.
Yeah.
Classic.
Mm.
And then she didn't get the second. And I was like, don't tell me this bitch gets it over Max.
Right.
Because I would have been furious. Not that she didn't do a wonderful job. She did. But he did too. And he has put forth the dedication of many, many years to do it. It's actually, I did appreciate then that at the end, she's finally starting to cut her teeth. And it has now been 3 more years.
Mm-hmm.
Which is way more realistic to say that after working at it for 4 years now, you are just now starting to get recognized in the community.
Correct. And so I actually kind of appreciated that.
Yes.
That it's now been 3 years after this year of working at it, and she's finally getting somewhere. I'm like, okay.
I think I would have enjoyed the movie a lot more if the first year, which is the entirety of the movie, was actually 20 minutes, and then the rest of the movie was working up to 3 years later.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think the movie would have been really interesting if we saw after that initial competition
Yeah.
up to that 3 years, right? So like we see her come to terms with like, okay, I need to break up with my boyfriend. I'm not being kind to him. This is not fair. And we see her and Max go through a journey of not quite hatred, but like we can't get along. And so he finally ends up leaving to pursue his career, and she really digs in with Megan.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That would be a much more interesting story.
Mhm.
Well, and Max, from what we see at the end in the epilogue, also went through a lot of growth. Like he
Mhm.
seems a much more confident person.
Mhm. Except for when he's trying to talk to her.
Well, you
I
know,
got-
nerves come back.
I got a refund. Oh, good. That killed me. They let me take the ring back.
Apparently it happens in like, what is it, 1 of 3 or 1 of 5
One of 3,
cases.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say one of the things that this movie reminded me of, is, and I don't know how true this is because I have not read the book, but Alan Rickman wrote an autobiography where he said that Daniel Radcliffe is not a good actor, that he's just somebody who had a great opportunity and did his best with it, right? And so some people have been like, oh, that's really shady. And then Daniel Radcliffe replied to it and he's like, no, I wouldn't be acting right now if I hadn't gotten the role I got. Like, I just happened to look like the right character and got lucky. I was a kid.
Well, that's most kids.
Yeah.
And he wasn't trying to throw shade at him. Because he got this role and was expected to grow with it, he had to
Right.
grow with it. It
Yeah.
made him a decent actor. Because I've seen Daniel Radcliffe in other things now, and I'm like, oh,
Yes.
look at you, Dan.
And the reason it reminded me of that is it's almost the opposite for her, where it's like you didn't fall into an opportunity and then rose to the occasion. You are demanding that everybody say that you putting in the effort and trying is the equivalent of you rising to the occasion. And it's like, no, that's not how this works.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I just think that contrast annoys me.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Are we bitter?
I've come to realize that I am, but you know.
I'm bitter, but depends on what you're asking about.
Sure.
I'm not bitter about opportunities that I've had, lost, taken, succeeded in. None of that really bothers me.
No, me neither. I mostly love bitter.
You love bitter? Like
No,
you
I
love
said
being
mostly bitter about love.
Oh, I see.
Mhm.
I thought you were saying that you love being bitter. And I was like, well,
It's a good
It's a choice.
feeling. You know, once you settle into it, really get your butt cheeks
a
used
little
to the
tangy.
cushioning. Yeah. I don't think looking at somebody who feels like they can just fail up into success is bitterness.
Yeah.
I think that's genuine frustration at somebody being so, like you said, Danny, disrespectful to the craft that they feel like they can just pick it up.
I think
Yeah.
our aversion to it too is that we all did theater,
Mm-hmm.
and it is disrespectful. There's a lot of work that goes into the performing arts that most people have no idea about.
Mm-hmm.
well, and it's not to say that I don't know how old this character is, but I want to say she's 30-ish.
Yeah.
That's not to say that you can't start something like that at that time. It is going to be a lot harder than if you started it at 15 or whatever.
Yes.
But you can. But yeah, it is entirely delusional to think that in a year from no training to however much training you get in a year, that you'll be able to compete and potentially win this renowned competition that there are people who have been working at it for
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
decades.
I don't necessarily think it's that we're bitter. I think we just really don't appreciate the disrespect for the arts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah.
The interesting thing, and something I liked, part of the reason I thought this might be a fun, interesting movie to check out is because we have a plus size main character.
Oh, yeah.
And nicely, that's never brought up.
I love that it's never brought up. She has beautiful clothing.
Yes.
Yes.
I like her hot pink boots.
Yep.
But and she's always dressed very nice.
Yeah.
They did not frump girl this girl at all.
Mm-mm.
There was no discussion. At one point she's running, right?
Yeah.
And Max is like, "Why are you doing this? Why would you do that? That's insane." And she's like, "'Cause it helps my lungs." And he's like, "That's stupid."
Which is funny because isn't he running in a previous scene with like a group of guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's currently biking at that time. And he's just like, no, it's stupid.
Her collection of like coat and scarf.
Mhm,
I'm like,
mhm.
I wish I had the fashion of coats and scarves.
Mhm.
I want to be pretty. I just can't bring myself to sometimes.
I can never justify owning more than one coat like for a season.
But no, we just appreciated her fashion. She looked real good at all times.
And I do appreciate, like you said, Wiggles, that her size was never brought up. And it's just like proof that you can put people of all sorts of different sizes in movies, shows, whatever, and you don't have to make it a point.
You don't have to make it
Yeah.
a thing.
It doesn't have, nothing has to be about that, right? Like it shouldn't even be a factor.
There was never a question whatsoever, ever about it.
Yeah.
So I think it might be ratings time.
Okay, that brings us to spice rating. It's I can't even give it a 0.5.
Yeah. I mean, they do make out, I guess, in his bed with the intention of getting down.
Yeah, but it's pretty much all off camera. You see their legs.
Yeah.
They're fully clothed legs.
We see more of the Three Stooges than we do of them.
Yes.
Because he's listening, he's got her listening to the episode of the Three Stooges and tells her that he watched that and said, if the Stooges can do opera, so can I. Okay, buddy.
All right, buddy.
Okay, buddy. So 0.
Yeah, a 0.
Yeah, 0.
Gavel, gavel.
You can roll your eyes all you want. I won't change. I'll be just as weird tomorrow.
I like you this weird.
Do you, though?
I do. I love you both the way you are.
So what's your romance rating then?
The problem is I don't necessarily like them together.
No.
No. And I'm still mad at this bitch for doing Charlie wrong.
Yes.
I'm kind of giving it a 0. There was never a moment where I was like, I want them to be together.
I agree with that.
I agree.
I actually agree with that.
I can't argue against it.
I want them to sing together. They sing beautifully together, but it's not actually them singing. But I like them singing together, but I don't want them as a couple.
Well, I guess that is the thing we didn't talk about is Megan forced them to do this duet. And there's like a couple of scenes that seemed like they were supposed to be romantic, but I couldn't buy into it.
No.
Yeah.
No, not even a little. So I'm going to agree. 0.
Which means gavel, gavel. What's your overall rating though?
I didn't hate this movie. There were a lot of like choices that I liked about it, but I just don't, as far as like a romantic movie, I don't buy the romance.
Right.
Which is a big problem.
Yeah. I also think it really had a bad edit because we spent too much time watching her get into bed or singing to cows when we really needed more plot.
Yeah, if we have to constantly go back in the movie to be like, wait a minute, what the fuck
How
just
did I get
happened?
here?
Yes. Yeah. So
That's a problem.
This was not a winner for me.
No.
So I'm going to give it a 2.
I was going to maybe give it a 2.5 because there are just a couple of different things that I liked
I was also
in
thinking
spite of it, but
Yeah, I was also thinking a 2.5 for, again, some of those reasons of her not winning the competition and things like that. But if you're going to tell me this is a comedy/romance, I didn't really find it funny. I found the townspeople kind of fun and
I loved
Yeah.
the townspeople.
Quirky.
I would watch an entire movie about the townspeople.
I
yeah.
thought Megan being mean to them was funny,
Yeah.
but that's about it. Otherwise, no.
And I could never buy into the romance considering
No.
how Millie treated Charlie.
Yeah.
And the fact that Max was a petulant child.
Yes.
I wanted so much more background on Megan too.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
they hinted about it so much but gave us nothing.
Yes.
All we know is she was an opera diva
Mm-hmm.
and now she's here.
Yes.
Because somebody gave her this house.
Mhm.
Yeah. And that's at least the story she tells. And I got to be honest, I don't think I believe most of the stories she tells.
Yeah.
No.
So I don't know. I feel fine with my 2. I don't regret it for a second.
Haha, no gavel gavel.
We don't do it
I know, I'm just giving
to the point of doing the gavel gavel. The gavel gavel is a special moment reserved for when we all agree, Danny.
Yeah, Danny. Okay.
Guys are fucking weirdos. I love you.
So that brings us to our recommendations. Who wants to go?
I will recommend Save the Last Dance.
All right.
Just because of the learning aspect and kind of figuring out aspect and kind of falling in love with all of this. The main difference being that it's not something that she just randomly decided to pick up. She was auditioning for Juilliard, but her mother died during her audition, and so she gave it up at that point because grief.
And then she comes back into it.
And then she comes back into it and learns to hip hop dance as well. So, what?
Nothing. It's just her hip hop dances.
Oh, I know it's bullshit, but it is a good movie.
It's wild. I remember as a small town white girl thinking that was really cool.
Oh, I know, me too.
Oh yeah, when I was young as this came out, I was like, oh man, look at this.
That's so cool.
Yeah, no, I've watched it since and went, oh, you really thought you did something there. But,
the internet educated us all.
Yes.
Let's just say that.
Yes, for sure.
It did not tame my like of the movie. I still like Save the Last Dance.
That's fair. And Misa? Misa Day. So my recommendation is going to be Larry Crown. It's a Tom Hanks, Julia Roberts combo.
I have never heard of this.
No, me neither. And I love them both.
It went under the radar. I don't know why, but my mom, my sister, and I went to see it. We loved it. The premise is Larry Crown is a manager or some medium higher up guy at a business. Can't remember what it is. And he gets laid off because he doesn't have enough education to continue moving up the ladder. Mm-hmm. And so he goes back to school at this community college where Julia Roberts happens to be teaching and has an extremely positive relationship with everybody around him as this, what's the term, that the non-traditional student. And everybody just has a really great time with this guy who is yes-anding life. He sells his gas guzzling Suburban. He lives in California and buys a scooter. And so he joins this gang of people riding scooters at the school. And, he really gets into the lessons, even though Julia Roberts' character, she's very jaded and does not want to be teaching. But yeah, so I just like that element of lifetime learning, and
sure.
And it's way more fun, way more inspirational, nails the romance and the comedy elements that this story doesn't have.
Gotcha.
What about you, Liz?
I'm going to recommend A Perfect Pairing. It's another Netflix rom-com. It is about a woman who is a wine executive, works at a big wine label in LA, and they're trying to get a new client to be under their label, which is an Australian company, vineyard and all of that. And so she flies to Australia to meet with the owner, and the owner is just no, we're not doing that. We're keeping our own label. We're doing our own thing, whatever. And so to win her over, this woman decides that she is going to work on the farm and impress her that way.
Oh.
And then she, has a love affair with one of the farmhands, but he's very kind of like Max was in this of, okay, city girl, what are you doing here? And then eventually he's like, okay, fine, I'll help you a little bit. And that goes into their romance. Yeah.
All right.
So those were our recommendations, which brings us to the end of the episode. If you like this episode, you can find us out there on the socials at Wrong Dust Jackets, primarily on Instagram and TikTok, but you can really find us just about anywhere. You can also go to our website at wrongdustjackets.com, where you'll find a list of all the episodes we've done in the past, as well as upcoming episodes, and our blog post, which may or may not be updated since the last time you may or may not have visited it. And we would absolutely love it if on whatever podcast listening app you are on, if you gave us a rating, review, comment, whatever's available to you. It would super, super help us in all of the algorithms and make me very happy. And don't you want to make me happy?
Always, my love.
Thanks, Danny.
I don't.
Well, that's sad.
You've been friends with her a lot longer.
You win
than
some,
me.
you lose some.
Anyway, that's all I've got. Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.